Joining us now from Newton, Massachusetts is Democratic Congressman Jake Auchincloss. Congressman, you heard what your colleague on the other side of the aisle said about the resignations at the DOJ over this Eric Adams uproar. What do you say about it?
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me on. What I say about it is that this president is replacing the rule of law with the law of the ruler. He came into office, he pardoned violent criminals from January 6th insurrection, including men who tased cops in the neck. Those people are now recommitting crimes back in their communities. He fired inspectors general and federal prosecutors without cause. And now he is directly bullying the Southern District of New York to act in a corrupt manner. And the name that every American should know right now is Hagen Scotton. That was the lead prosecutor on Eric Adams, and he resigned rather than pursue this corrupt path. And he said anybody who followed this order would be a fool or a coward. Now, Hagen Scotton, clerk for a conservative Supreme Court justice, he is no fool. He is a decorated special forces officer. He's no coward. Can Republicans answer the same? Because right now they look like both.
On the matter of Ukraine, NewsNation's Tanya Nori learned from a source that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Special Envoy to the Middle East Steve Witkoff are set to meet with senior Russian officials in the coming days in Saudi Arabia to try to talk about a truce in Ukraine. Where are you on that? Is that appropriate? Are you comfortable with it? Talk about the situation.
Frankly, it's just refreshing that the Americans are going to be negotiating with the Russians and not against themselves, because what we've seen over the last week is Trump's team negotiating in public against one another, undermining NATO's position before the negotiations even start. Chris, you know as well as I do, don't negotiate in open against yourself. Don't take things off the table like NATO membership or Crimea or U.S. involvement in Ukraine before the Russians have given anything in return. This is just... It's not even a rookie mistake. This is embarrassing, frankly, and Pete Hegseth needs to do some serious homework before engaging in these negotiations. What the United States needs to do is simultaneously strongly support Ukraine with materiel and with economic support, make clear that we will support them for as long as is necessary, and then on a parallel track, negotiate with Russia and Ukraine such that Ukraine ends up with a secure eastern border, with freedom of navigation in the Black Sea, and with accession to the European Union on the near horizon. We get those three things for Ukraine, and you've got prosperity, sovereignty, and democracy in its future.
Okay. If Republicans can't get their team together on a budget bill before next month's deadline, which looks increasingly likely, they're going to need Democratic votes to avoid a shutdown and raise the debt limit. The Trump administration is acting sanguine about the whole thing and saying that maybe a shutdown would be good. Maybe it would even help Elon Musk and company keep cutting. But there are also those in your party who seem like they're itching for a shutdown, too, saying Democrats should refuse to help in protest of some of the legally dubious moves of the administration. How do you think about a shutdown? Is that something that you think would help push the Democratic agenda? Is that something you're trying to avoid? What are you doing?
Well, let's address your point about Elon Musk first and then the shutdown. You had said Elon Musk is cutting. I think there's this narrative right now that somehow the Republicans are out there saving taxpayers' money. Let's be clear what's really happening. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and congressional Republicans are trying to cut taxes for the individuals who sat at Trump's inaugural address in front of his cabinet, the $12 trillion of market cap, the $1 trillion of personal wealth who were sitting there in front of him. And their goal is to find enough money to give them a massive tax break, and it's going to balloon the deficit. So there is no amount of trimming of fraud, waste, and abuse that can pay for $5 trillion of tax cuts for Elon Musk and his buddies. And so this is not going to be something that tightens the belt of the federal government. Now, going into this shutdown negotiation, Democrats really have two core asks. One, we want Donald Trump to follow the law. And that means not impounding funds that Congress appropriates, nor spending money that Congress has not appropriated. And we need teeth behind those clauses. And then number two, we want to have him focus on lowering costs for Americans. Because right now what I'm seeing is car insurance and home insurance and energy bills are going to skyrocket by double digits over the next year. I see no plans on how to lower out-of-pocket costs for healthcare. I see no plans on how to lower costs for housing. Indeed, both of those line items are going in the opposite direction. So what's the plan to lower costs for Americans? Because he came into office saying auto insurance premiums would be cut in half. They're going to go up by 20, 30% in the next year.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.